In Flows for Apex 24.1 Enterprise Edition, there's also the concept of iterations and loops implemented. So what are iterations and loops within the BPMN 2.0 specification? Let me give you an example of these. If we log on to Flows for Apex and click on Flow Management, we can also see that there are some pre-installed tutorials there that cover the basics of iterations and loops. One of them I've copied over in my own and expanded a little bit. And if we take a look in that, we can click on Modify Diagram and actually have a look at the model, how it's being built up. Now the actual symbols we're looking at for iterations are these two, and the one for looping is this one. So basically what it does in a sequential iteration, it will go through either list or array, depending on what you've set up, and walks through it and does it so often until that list is completed, or maybe you have an exception defined and you don't want to continue anymore. So let's have a closer look here. So first we have set up a list, an emp list based on a query, and that will return you a column separated list of values. So in this case, there are 5 entries: Smith, Jones, Scott, Adams, and Ford in that process variable. Our task A2 is looping over through those values and will process these. So let's have a look at how that's being covered by the attributes panel here. There is this multi-instance because I have this symbol selected through the branch symbol here. So in this case, it's a sequential, so one after the other is going to be processed. So with the multi-instance values, we have the possibility to specify an input collection. In this case, it's a process variable with a list of the values I specified before. And we can also do some logging for the administrator. So we can also set up a process variable, and that will actually save some values, in this case the name. So we can pick up those values later on in the process if we want, or the administrator can make use of those. In this case, a completion condition is not being set, so all 5 values are going to be processed. Another way of implementing and running iterations is by doing it in parallel. So this might be the only difference. In case of sequential, one after each other is being processed, and in case of parallel, all 5 are processed at once. So the actual job at hand that is going to be executed is something you would define. So in this case, I've set it up as a script task. So by clicking on PL/SQL, I can see that for each of those 5 values being set up, I will do an insert in the table, and then I can also reference the values. So the name of each person is also being saved in that table. And the last version I have here is the looping. So by looking at that, we don't have an input list needed then in this case, but we do need a completion condition when it's over. So in this case, it will run this activity, this task for 3 times. And it will then put an output array in a process variable as well, and will output the name and the MP number. So basically that's it. So how does that look like when running it through the administration, the flow monitor? Let's give me an example of this. So let's create an instance of that iteration tutorial. And let's start that. So right now we're standing here at pre-split, and I will give it a push saying complete. So it will go into the parallel gateway and it's now standing here. So in this case, an array is being set up, a process variable based on an array. Here a process variable based on a column separated list of values. So let's first click our way through to 1A1. And as you can see here, even in the graphical display, I can click on the symbol and I can see that Jones is now being executing. And until that's done, so let me click on complete here and click again on the diagram. I can see that it's now completed, and then the second one is now running. This is of course different with a parallel iteration. If I was to start that one off, then immediately all 5 are being executed and completed. So the script task I defined there by doing an insert on the table is then automatically done. And the last one with the looping here as a demo, that will loop through the various instances until I'm done. And by clicking on the variable section here, I can also have a look at the various kinds of process variable that were being set up by the outcome section in the attributes panel. So this will give you only a very brief overview of what iterations and looping can do for you. But as you can see, without any programming, you have the ability to loop over various kinds of situations you might have. Maybe processing 10,000s of letters or a salary raise or something like that. And that you can only do with only to specify one BPMN symbol.